bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah. How you doing? Today's Thursday, March 26, 2020. Six days into the new year, just 280 days left. We're in a leap year. Don't forget that. 6 days off. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world and all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? Yeah, I know. You're doing okay. Let's not freak out just yet. But tonight, I know you've been waiting for this, and we're going to do it at the bottom of the hour. Tonight, very special guest. Joining me tonight to help me man the phones, Chris Bledsoe. Chris Bledsoe is here. He's going to take your phone calls, answer your questions. I'll open up the phone lines at the bottom of the hour, but the number to call is 747-228-2051. My headphone cable is all tangled up around my feet, and I can't get it. There, I got it. It's all good. How you doing tonight? All right. Now, a couple of things. If you can't get through on the phones, I will suggest to everybody, post your questions over on Twitter for me and use hashtag F2BQ, okay, if you can't get through on the phones. And my focus will be the phones and live phone calls. But if there is something that you need to get through to Chris, post it there, and if I can get to it, I will. Okay? All right. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. And I hear I hear it again tonight, and I can't figure out where it's coming from. It's very, very bizarre. I turned everything... Yeah, I hear it. Okay, that's it. I'm going to ignore it again tonight. I hear something in my cans. And last night you guys said it wasn't coming through. So there you go. It's probably just me, but it's distracting, and I've never heard it before until a couple of days ago. You can email Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. And if you have questions for Chris, again, and you can't get through on the phone lines, or you don't have the ability to call in, you can email those questions to me, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. Okay? All right? Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I got everything out of the way. We have 2 chat rooms open, one over at Spreaker. Oh, we got a bunch of chat rooms open now. We have Spreaker. We have KGRA, The Planet. We have everybody over chatting on YouTube. Hello, YouTube, Twitter. Hello to everybody on Twitter. Facebook Live on the radio page. Hello to everybody over there. And I don't know, the Bunker Cam. Hello to everybody on the Bunker Cam. And hashtag F2B is the sandbox if you want to join us there. All right, let's get to the breaking news. Lots to talk about, obviously. I had mentioned the last couple of nights right here on the show that the United States would overtake Italy and China and move into the number one spot with coronavirus cases. And it happened this morning. That's right. The United States has moved up to number one. The numbers right before the show. This morning, when I first reported this, the United States passed at, and I posted it on Facebook, and had numbers at 81,864. China was at 81,285. And that was posted today 5 hours ago. Okay, so here we are 5 hours later, and the United States is at 85,377, adding another 4,000 in the last 5 hours, and more on that in just a bit. But let's get to the good news. The stock market rose again today, big time, 1,352 points to finish at 22,552. There are some financial markets and reports coming out today from various sources saying that the recovery of the economy is going to be there. It's going to be solid. It's going to take anywhere from 8 to 12 months, but we should be right back where we are, and we will just have a steady rise in not only the markets and the economy, but unemployment and everything else, that we're going to be back to normal. And that's good news. Now, some strange news from around the country. An unidentified woman purposely coughed on $35,000 worth of food at a Hanover Township, Pennsylvania, Garrity's grocery store. She likely faces criminal charges for coughing, one of the primary ways that the coronavirus spreads. Staff quickly removed her from the store and called the Hanover Township Police, who found her a few hours later and took her into custody. It's not clear what charges the woman may face. Right now, she's undergoing mental health treatment and evaluations. Wow. Absolutely incredible. And, with all of this, pressure on everybody, the stores to keep the shelves stocked and everything else, and to have to clear out all of the produce and the meats today, $35,000 worth of groceries thrown in the trash. Also today, there are now 25 sailors who have tested positive for coronavirus aboard the aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt. Just 2 days after the Pentagon announced that only 3 sailors aboard the ship had tested positive for the virus. Just like the cruise ships, right? An aircraft carrier, any ship in the United States Navy or the Coast Guard, you're in close quarters. Man, you're in a sealed tin can. Think about that. Absolutely incredible. Okay. Well, I announced earlier today in the United States, the number now has jumped to 85,377 that are active with the coronavirus, 17,166 added overnight, and 1,295 deaths, with 268 in the last 24 hours. But here is the good news with those numbers. Finally, the amount of recoveries has overcome the amount of deaths, and that number should continue to rise, and that is the good news. So continue with the good news. I got a bunch of it today. President Trump has announced that the USNS Comfort, the hospital ship, will deploy to New York City on Saturday, which is 3 weeks ahead of schedule, and that is great news. The USNS Mercy has left San Diego and is on its way to Los Angeles. It will arrive here tomorrow. I posted pictures of it that Lori Wagner took today from her home in Encinitas. And on sale today, Friday, it has left San Diego. It's going to arrive here in Los Angeles tomorrow. If you want to see the pictures of it passing Lori's house, You can check that out on Twitter and over on my Facebook page. The Pentagon awards a $15 million contract to retrofit the Jacob Javits Center, the convention center in Manhattan, into a hospital, and they said today that it will be ready to go and open by Monday. Awesome news. New York City will increase its number of ventilators by 2,500 today. Arizona governor orders hospitals to increase bed capacity by 50%. More good news. New Orleans and their convention center will be used to house coronavirus patients. Also, really good news. They need that help. Illinois governor says that nearly 1 million pieces of medical equipment will be delivered today to the state of Illinois. And the United Kingdom will invest more than $250 million for development of a coronavirus vaccine. All great news. Now, the bad news, which is not as bad as the previous week's bad news, but there is a little bit out there. Let's just call it not as good news, okay? Which is Alabama schools will be closed the remainder of the academic year. We expected that. Texas institutes mandatory quarantine for travelers from New York. Rhode Island is requiring anyone traveling from New York to self-quarantine. Broward County, Florida, issues a shelter-in-place order. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds announced today the closure of many Iowa retail businesses, including book and clothing stores, restaurants, and bars, until April 7th. Toyota will keep its North American plants closed until April 20th. New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu has issued a stay-at-home order starting at midnight Friday and will last until May 4th. Chicago is closing its lakefront from the north to the south, effective immediately. Chicago police will ramp up patrols and are prepared to give warnings and citations, and, if necessary, arrests will be made. Chrysler will keep its North American plants closed until April 14th. China announced today that they will close its borders to most foreigners starting Saturday. And the Indianapolis 500 has been moved from May 24th to August 23rd. I don't know how many Indy 500s I've been to. I talk about it all the time. And to move it is a really big deal. That's how serious this coronavirus is. Travel to Hawaii drops by 87%. At least 24 states now have reported over 100 new cases of coronavirus in the last 24 hours. I have that list, by the way, of those states, but it was long and I just decided not to read it, but there are 24. Now, the coronavirus numbers. Yesterday, Wednesday, March 25th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, cases around the world were reported at 468,905, which were up 40,000 in 24 hours. The deaths, 21,200, an increase of 2,500 in 24 hours, and recoveries were at 114,218. Now, the real numbers, which are encouraging, today, Thursday, March 26th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, coronavirus cases worldwide, 531,799, up over 63,000 in 24 hours. Sounds like a big number, but deaths are at 24,071, up almost 3,000 in 24 hours. And here's the encouraging number. Recoveries, 123,942, almost 9,000 more recoveries in over 24 hours. Very encouraging news. There are 383,786 active cases worldwide. That's the number compared to reported numbers of 531,000. I want you to remember that. It's almost off by 200,000. Okay, so the real numbers are 383,000, not 531. 19,357, 5% are considered serious or critical. 364,000 of that 383 are considered mild conditions, and I want you to note that number. It's very encouraging. Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, the one and only Diana Ross. Today is 76 years old. Keira Knightley today is 35. Steven Tyler today is 72. And Martin Short today is 70. Our dead guy's birthday today is... moment of silence. Leonard Nimoy. 1931 to 2015, died at the age of 83. Mr. Spock. That's really all I got to say. Mr. Spock. Except he also played Dr. William Bell on the series Fringe. There you go. On this day in history, 1997, I'm going to report this today, and I will never forget the moment I found out about this and the amount of research I did in the weeks after. 1997, on this day, March 26th, Heaven's Gate cult members are found dead after their leader, Marshall Applewhite, preached that suicide would allow them to leave their body containers and enter an alien spacecraft hidden behind the Hale-Bopp comet. And when the reports started coming out of Santa Fe, right down near San Diego, and the uniforms everybody was wearing, and I went back and watched because the website for Heaven's Gate stayed active, right? So I jump on the website, I'm watching the videos and everything that they believed in, and I just couldn't believe it. And I know that back then, because I listened to Coast to Coast AM, Art Bell was talking about this alleged spacecraft that was in the tail of the comet, and that it was going to pass close by Earth, and it was sensational news, and we all soaked it in and listened to it. But and you never know who's going to listen to this stuff, and so was Marshall Applewhite. And I was right up, sucked into it just like everybody else was. And then this tragedy happened. Whew, man. And the website, that was the other crazy thing, if you remember, back in 1997. That website stayed active with those videos, what seemed to me, for months. Nobody pulled it down, and it was so disturbing to go and see that Applewhite character speak into the video camera and make the statements that he did on this day in 1997. Absolutely incredible. Fader fact. In 2015, Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield released the first ever album recorded entirely in space. That's right. Called Space Sessions, Song from a Tin Can. There you go. And that is your Fader fact. All right, tonight, Chris Bledsoe is here. He's going to be here at the bottom of the hour. The call-in number is 747-228-2051. We're going to do a variety of things. Of course, we're going to focus on your phone calls with Chris. But if you have any questions, you can't get through on the phone lines, or you don't have the ability to call in, post on Twitter using hashtag F2BQ. And I know we have a lot of listeners from around the world, too, as well. So post it right there. And you can also email me, jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com, with your questions for Chris, and I will get them in. All right. Let me hit this River Moon coffee. rivermooncoffee.com. Fade to Black Blend, F2B Blend is the promo code, and you will get 15% off of your order today. Also, I wanted to mention for all of you, your immune systems, you need to make sure that you are topped off. And just visit Life Change Tea. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Click on those, go over and go to their specials page and load up on all of the supplements and vitamins that you need to make sure that your immune system is fully in check. And, of course, get yourself some Life Change tea. Drink it. I drink it every single day. And the immune system is what is so critical here. And there you go. Now, all right. I wanted to talk about a couple of things. And one of the things I want to start off with today is, and I mentioned this briefly in my column, my weekly column on the Telepath, but that is this. We have reached a fork in the road. There's a paradigm shift. There is something real and tangible, not intangible, completely tangible going on around the world on this planet. And I know that, there's the economy. There is this veiled threat that is out there of coronavirus that we are all facing. But because of this and the effectiveness of the fear porn in the media, one thing has resulted. First off, and you can go and look at the list of the countries that now have coronavirus inside of its borders, and it's the entire planet. The other part about this is that the economy of the world is now affected. There isn't anybody on this planet, not one, that doesn't know about it and isn't questioning the way of life that we have been living. And I mean it like this. We know that we ran this planet like a party. Okay, we did. No concerns about the environment, no concerns about us, no concern about our neighbors or other countries, sacrificing lives and wars and just things, no concern for human life. And including our own, which, going back to the immune system, right, or not eating right, or just not taking care of ourselves, and maybe partying a little bit too much, and all of that. But that's the way we have lived since the beginning. Since the beginning. This isn't a modern thing. It's the way that we have lived. Now, we've marched right to the edge of the cliff, and we have taken a peek. And I think that right now, and you can feel it, you can tell, you can see that I believe that we have everybody are taking a hard look at the way we are moving forward. And that now it's time to change. Little things, right? Little things. Crime rates are obviously down, and you don't hear about wars. Today I heard about, Maduro down in Venezuela being charged for drugs. And it's just like this stuff is resurfacing. Really, right now, the world is going through a virus pandemic, and economies are collapsing. And we've just got to go and mess around with Venezuela right now. Why? Aren't the people of Venezuela suffering enough with everything else that is going on and the things that they have been dealing with their economy? And this is an example of what I am talking about. This stuff is trivial, man. Trivial. It's stupid. And all of us are realizing that there's just no reason for the stupidness that we have been living by. And I think that we are going to honestly step back and go, you know what, this stuff, there's other things that we need to worry about. Now, there are other values that we see here that we want to put our time into. And this is a moment for all of us, and I'm serious about this. This is a moment for all of us, for everybody that can hear my voice. This is a moment for all of us to make that change happen right now. Right now, you needed a reason to do it. You need it. You know what? We, this community, we've got the world's attention. We've been talking about this for so long, trying to get to the next level, trying to just understand what consciousness is and what awakening is and what morals are and being the best person that you can be. Right now, everybody on this planet, no matter what your religion, where your background, your ethnicity, all of that, we are all earthlings. That's it. And right now, we are in this problem, this crisis, together. And I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that. So let's do this. Really, let's just do this. Let's move forward. I keep saying this. I remember 7 years ago, man, I walk around with flowers in my pocket. And I just believe that, we're growing up and we're going to mature, that right now we're partying like we're still in college, like we're still in high school, and we're going to grow past this. We're going to mature. We're going to grow up and realize that there's other things that we got to do. And I would say these things and maybe just sound like I was soft. And I'm not soft. It's just that I want things better. I want things better for my children and my grandchildren, and I want everything to be cool on this planet. I'm just tired of things, right? Well, 7 years later, it took this for everybody else to realize exactly what I have been saying. They're not listening to me. They don't even know who I am. But the changes are here. They're right in front of us. They're right in front of us. So the economy is going to turn around. It's all going to be good. I know that is going to happen. What we are dealing with now is not a physical thing where we've got to rebuild the planet and we got to do all. No, we don't have to go through any of that. The economy is going to fix itself. This virus is going to fix itself, and we're going to be able to move forward. We now have a new set of values for all of us to live by. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, with us, Chris Bledsoe. He is here to help me take your phone calls and answer your questions all night long. This is a great night tonight. Stand by. I'm going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to be joined by Chris Bledsoe. Stay with us. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Stay with me.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
OMG! People are jumping on board to the Life Change Tea Regiment. Brew, steep, and drink. for a gentle, taste-great cleanse. It's changing how they feel. See what everybody's talking about. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Life Change Tea aids in digestive slowdown and helps people get moving down a healthy path. We won't make claims. We'll just let you decide. Experience is much better than a commercial anyway. If you want results, log on to getthetea.com and purchase your super strength cleansing tea. You won't be disappointed. And if you're looking for some mind-body suggestions, go to YouTube and punch in the search bar Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. Put power into your health now. So, getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com for super strength tea. And YouTube, Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now for valuable suggestions. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show. On the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Matthew, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. I am your host, Jimmy Church. I'm hitting the wrong buttons. You see me sit down in the studio on the cameras. You can see I'm just getting through this. It's going to be a big night tonight. Chris Bledsoe is here, joining us for a very exclusive evening. He'll be taking your phone calls. Normally tonight I'm taking my own phone calls. It's Chris. Chris helping me man the phones, and he's going to be answering all of your questions tonight. Also, you can email me, Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. If you can't call in or you can't get through on the phone lines, you can email me, Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com, and I'll get your question read on the air. Also, hashtag F2BQ right there on Twitter. If you can't get through tonight, go ahead and post your questions right there in Twitter. And I can see that we've already got probably 15, 20 questions lined up right there in Twitter, and we've got calls on hold. The call-in number is 747-228-2051. This is a very unique opportunity for all of you, our audience and the Fade or Not family, to be part of one of the most compelling cases that is in our community right now. Because back on January 8th, 2007, Chris came face-to-face with extraterrestrial beings and had missing time while on the banks of the Cape Fear River. Chris and his son, Chris Jr., and 3 of his subcontractors were about to experience the craziest day of their lives involving unexplained phenomena. MUFON then sent a trained team to investigate the encounter, and their experience was featured on Discovery Channel's 2008 series, UFOs Over Earth, The Fayetteville Incident. Now, multiple 3-letter agencies have been involved with Bledsoe, the Bledsoe case, bringing increased attention and mystery to this ever-evolving story. You can follow Chris over on Facebook. His links are right there at JimmyChurchRadio.com. And I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, Chris Bledsoe. Chris, good evening, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having you back, actually. And this is our 3rd show in like 3 weeks, and that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, right. I know.
And this is one of the things that I do want to talk about really quick, and that is obviously the coronavirus and what is going on out there in your neck of the woods, and how you're getting along and how your family is doing. Is everything okay?
Well, in our county, there's not that many reported cases. I think 4 to 6. So they're not quite as stringent here as they are in other places. But we're on a 15-day lockdown. But you wouldn't know it if you looked at the highway. But all the kids are home. Emily came home from New York over a week and a half ago, which I was worried bad about her. You know, young college girl at NYU.
Right.
You know, and it worked out. She came home last Wednesday, so. But we're all doing good. I'm a rheumatoid patient. I have a severe case of rheumatoid, and I was honestly terrified. I have been of this disease because my immune system has been compromised.
And I think this is very important, not only for you and specifically your health, but this is something that everybody should be aware of. If you've got any immune with you personally, stay at home, right? And so for you're compromised, and your health problems that you are going through right now on a daily basis. You have to absolutely make sure that you're at home, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And honestly, I took the leap and I quit taking these meds. I quit taking them about 10 days ago. And the doctor said it was a good thing I did to stay off for 3 months until it all blows by and then start over. But I'm telling it. I can tell it's hard to button my pants or tie my shoes. But other than that, I feel great. I have more energy than I do taking all those chemicals, but there's more problems with my hands and feet.
Yeah, there you go. And, well, I'll just say you sound good, right? Yeah. Do you remember Billy Crystal on Saturday Night Live when he said he would play Ricardo Montalban? Remember that character? Yeah. And he would say, "It's better to look good than to feel good." Man, I lived by that, man. Anytime I had a cold, I made sure my hair looked really good. So there you go. Well, let's get to it. It's going to be a very, very busy night and on the phones here, and you'll be able to experience what I do. Last night, we did open lines last night, and I don't know how many calls I fielded, but it was probably 50, 60, 70 calls in 3 hours, and it's a lot of fun to do, but you get to communicate with such a wide range of people around the country and around the world, and to hear what their thoughts are. And the other thing is, Chris, is that so many of us, including myself, have experienced things. And those things, whatever they are, right? It's different with everybody. But there's an emotional connection there. There's a personal connection. But it's what brings them into this community and their search for answers. And for them to have the opportunity to interface with you tonight on the air, for them, it means a lot. And it is truly extraordinary. And I want to thank you for that. And it's going to be a great night. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
Okay. Let's go to the phones. Let's see who's up first. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Up first tonight with Chris Bledsoe. Who's calling?
Hey, this is Bob McGuire.
Oh, Bob McGuire.
Hey, Bob.
Okay, hold on. Hold on, Bob. I want everybody to know that this call is not set up, number one. Number two, I didn't know Bob was calling in. Three, I don't have Bob's phone number blocked. I should have it, right? So this is a surprise for me, and there you go. A surprise for Chris, and there you go. Bob, how you doing, man? How you guys hanging out there in Alabama?
It's a mess. So the coronavirus is. We've got 400 and something cases, and it'll double in about 48 hours, and people are dying. The governor closed all state schools today for the remainder of the year. Kids won't go back to school until fall, so it's been rough. But it's like we're not dealing with anything that everybody else isn't dealing with. So, Jimmy, I called to finish the story of my visit to Chris with news that no one knows until now, if I may.
Absolutely. And, no, you have to ask Chris's permission. It's his show.
Well, Bob.
Chris,
Bob's like one of my
brother,
best friends, so he can say whatever he wants.
So I'm going to tell the rest of the story. So when I was on, I told about visiting Chris, having some experiences, going home, having the phenomenon follow me home, having strange experiences at home, and that was not the end of the story. In January of 2018, my wife had a stroke, and it was a really tough time emotionally, and she was left with a small but permanent disability where she had right side weakness, and when she walked, she drug her right heel on the ground. So after the experiences that we had when we got home, I think you'll probably remember, maybe others will remember, we got squirted with water in the middle of the air coming out of nowhere. Over the next week, her right side weakness completely disappeared. And we went to the neurologist. The neurologist has no explanation and is so surprised that an MRI has been scheduled for next month. So I call it a miracle cure because the doctor says these things are not cured. And I can tell you that disability is gone.
And when you called Chris and spoke to him about this, Chris, what was your reaction?
Well, I was overjoyed, as always. But I knew, I don't want to sound. Well, let's just say I mentioned to Bob. I didn't know the healing was going to happen, but I knew based on the way it was interacting with the two of us and Ryan that they had something very special in store for Bob and myself. And I didn't realize they were going to heal Sharon, but they did. And so I can just be humbled is all. That's all I can do is just be humbled. And this is the reason, Jimmy, over the years I've maintained that it's spiritual and it's something greater than just a plain old alien from the Pleiades coming here to bother me or Travis with a fishing pole.
Right.
It's a whole lot more to it. And I'm just thrilled for Sharon. I mean, she's just the perfect school teacher, little mom, and never complains. But she got a blessing that I'm just so happy for.
So the only other thing is at work, because I work late at night in the lab at Virginia Tech. Before we closed down and sent everybody, including me, home, I would walk into the parking lot at night, and right off the end of the runway at the Virginia Tech Montgomery County Airport, there would be gigantic orb that would light up the farm across US 460. It would light up acres, and it would stay off the end of the runway for 15 or 20 minutes, and that's illegal because it's within 1,000 meters of the end of a runway of an airport, which is with an active runway.
Sure.
So this is just crazy stuff, and I'm going to tell you, it's been a life-changing set of experiences.
There is, I'm sure that we're going to take a couple of calls tonight that are going to deal with coronavirus, Chris. And, while I've got Bob on the phone, because Bob just brought this up, Chris, the interference and the help that was run with Bob, and you've experienced it too yourself, what about what's going on right now with coronavirus and this planet? Is there something that can be done about that? Do you know anything about that?
I really don't. The only thing I can relate to this virus is that when I made the statement that this thing the lady told me was biblical, well, I guess you could include this virus in that, because what she said was that there are people in power using the book of Revelations as a script.
Right.
To bring about the end of the planet, just to bring about our demise. And so if you read that book, there's a lot of that stuff in there, pestilence and famines and earthquakes. And but I'm just repeating what she told me. But as far as the nobody never told me the coronavirus. So how can we deal with it? We just have to let nature take its course. Maybe it gets to be 100 here in the next month. In North Carolina, it's liable to, and it'll do away with a lot of it. The heat will, I think.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope. I think our fingers are all crossed there. Hey, Bob, thank you so much, and keep your family safe. And do me a favor, wash your hands. Right?
I do, and I just want to assure you and the audience, this was not coordinated with Chris. He had no idea I was going to do this. But I just felt I felt it was imperative that I do it. And Jimmy, thank you very much for taking my call.
Bob, you're the very best, man, and give my best to your wife. Okay.
I will do it, Jimmy. Take care.
Yeah, thank you. Be safe.
Thank you, Bob.
Absolutely. Be safe out there, Bob. And before I get back to the phone calls, I cannot stress enough with everybody, and I know that there's going to be some coronavirus calls, and as I'm bringing calls in, when you hear my voice and then it goes silent, I'm just putting you on hold. That's all that's going on. And I will get to everybody. It's going to be a busy, busy night on the phones, and I need everybody's help here to understand that it's going to go silent. And when it does, like right now, boom, you're just on hold. And, man, we've got a lot of calls here, Chris, and they're just flooding in. So just give me a minute here to get caught up. Okay. It's and another thing that I wanted to ask you, when you go off of these meds because of rheumatoid arthritis, is it something that you have to wean yourself off of, or are you going cold turkey?
I'm supposed to wean myself off of some of it, but I went cold turkey. And I went to see my doctor, and she told me what I did was, she's glad I did. Actually, she said that nowhere in the medical field has there been a flag saying these patients should come off these medications, but she thinks that I did the right thing, because one of those pills is called Rinvoq, which was a replacement for people that methotrexate doesn't work for. So it's like a chemo or TNF blocker, biologic immune suppressant. And I went cold turkey. And let me tell you, the last night I woke up at 3 in the morning because I rolled over on my hand, and my hand hurt so bad I had to get up, pace the floor. Just that kind of thing.
Right.
You know, sucks.
Well, that's the right word, Chris. That's the right word. But our thoughts are with you, man. And let's get through some of these phone calls. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy. It's Deb.
Hi, Deb. How are you?
Hi, doing good. Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for coming on with us.
Yes, thank you, Deb.
Deb, what do you have?
I have one really quick silly question, and I have my real question. The silly question is, and this is from another Fadernaut, wanted to know, what's your favorite pizza?
Oh, my favorite pizza is New York style thin crust, pepperoni and mushroom.
That's mine.
Excellent.
That's mine.
Yeah, that's mine too.
Wow.
It's the black olives too.
Okay, and what's your real question?
Yeah, Jimmy, my real question is, Chris, with all of these experiences that you've had over the years, how has it changed your perception of what we call God?
It has drastically.
I know that's a big question.
Yeah, it is a big question, because when it first happened, I was a fundamentalist deacon in the Pentecostal Holiness Church, and that's a pretty big statement, because they're very strict. And I married a girl, beautiful girl, that still goes to that church, and she's had to conform as I have. She tries to put it out of her mind that it don't exist, even though it shows up in front of her. And I've shared videos with Jimmy where you can see her in there talking. But to get back to that question, when it first happened, it messed me up so bad. It took me 5 years to struggle with ever telling this story again because I didn't know what I was dealing with. I thought I called out in need, and it came. It took away my Crohn's. So I just knew that angels from heaven had come. And then when I told it to the world, then the world got on me, and it was all of a sudden demons and everything else. And so you can imagine how conflicted I was. And
yes.
And then that's why I would never talk about it. And when the lady came in 2012, it was a hallelujah moment. It was like, I got it now. I understand it. And so it brought me back full circle to my faith in God. He's just amazing. That's all I can say. It's amazing. We're in a world that is so magical that we can't even fathom it.
There you go, Deb. Thank you for the phone call.
Absolutely. Take care, Chris. Hope you feel better.
Go back, Lee Tappy, Deb.
Go back, Lee Tappy, Jimmy.
There you go. And thank you for the phone call, Deb. And let's just keep this rolling, and we can get a couple more in before the top of the hour. Hi, turn me down in the background. Turn me down. No, that's not good enough. Can't do it. Bye-bye. And always remember, have your stuff ready to go here on Fade to Black. All right. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
My name's Ian.
Hi, Ian.
Hey, what's going on? Am I live right now?
You're live, Ian. Say hi to Chris Bledsoe.
Oh, okay.
What's your question?
Hey, what's up, Chris? It's Ian from New York.
Hey, Ian. How are you, my friend?
Your buddy from Facebook. I actually just got back from work, and I heard that you were on here. So it's just like so out of, I can't believe this just happened. I know I only got a certain amount of time. My question's simple. I've been watching some of the other guys, in the UFO world, as you know, Dolan, Grant, all those other ones. And I heard about one particular person talking about the language of angels. Is there anything that you know or you could talk about that particular, I believe it's a book, that I don't think it's about her. I think it's about somebody else.
I'm not familiar with that at all. But, I still struggle with this thing, Ian. Is it alien or is it angel? And there's a thin line there. Angel. Maybe it's both. Well,
it was something that was talked on Sherman's show, and it was called The Language of Angels. I just thought that they were talking more about you, if you knew anything about it or whatever. But I also wanted to ask, how's your daughter doing? I mean, she was up here in New York. Did she get out here? Or?
Yes, she got out last Wednesday and walked through LaGuardia, and there was nobody in the whole airport, and 4 people on that big 737 coming home.
Is she quarantined?
No, well, she is here, but she came home. She's been home 10 or 12 days now.
Okay.
That's great to hear, man, because I'm hearing so many war stories up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Ian, thank you for the phone call, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that is such an important question, though, Chris, and I actually want to circle back to it, which is this question that is perplexing everybody. Is it angels? Or is it aliens? You've been interfacing with this directly, and that is something that you have to deal with, and you're questioning this on a daily basis. And you just mentioned, I don't want to let this just get away. You said it may be both. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think there's probably both out there. I study with Dr. Pasulka a lot, or I have in the past, and Dr. Zervos and different ones, trying to find answers, And I've got a pretty good education in the religious side of it, and found the connections. There's a lot of connections in the Bible of this. But, there are several different groups according to the scripture. There's like 9 different orders, and some of them are not very nice. Some of them would be dark and dangerous. Some of them, no angelic experience has really been a good one. It usually scares the people to death, or it's terrifying. But
well,
I believe it's angelic beings or celestial beings. Like, you know what I get an idea of? These big orange burning ones, they bring the most of all the 3-letter agencies. They're more interested in these orange glowing balls than they are the other kind. And I just have to say that. I can't say any more. But the little ones, this stuff like Bob experienced here. When I just walked out and I called it, I asked for it to come, and it just starts appearing, and here it comes. And it put on a pretty good show, although I've had it a lot closer. But they're like children, Jimmy, and it reminds me of the biblical drawings where you see these little baby angels. They call them cherubs. Well, they don't look like little babies. They look like these little glowing guys with a triangle on their chest. But that's who I believe. They work for creation, part of the universal. Let me see how my friend Tyler told me. He said that it represents the universal creation of life. This triangle.
Yeah. So many people emailed me, Chris, saying that I didn't get enough information about the triangle and that we blew past that. So maybe tonight we can actually go back and talk about it. We need to take a break right here. So let's get our break in. We've got a lot of calls on hold. I'll get to everybody. All right, so you just stay right there. Tonight, Chris Bledsoe, taking your phone calls and answering your questions all night long. That call-in number is 747-228-2051. I've got about 20, 30 questions lined up in Twitter. I've got a bunch that have come in email. I've got 25 calls on hold. Okay? It's going to be a busy night. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Introducing the new Surfer Music app. Listen, Fade or not, you know I love my music. This is my go-to for all things notes. The Surfer app is a brand new concept in music listening. Surfer is free, providing unlimited access to thousands of live streaming radio stations. Surfer is an exciting, interactive listening experience. Discovery and surprise are built right in. Surfer is your destination to discover and rediscover great live streaming music. It features high-quality audio streams, free access to music from thousands of live streaming radio stations, unlimited listening, unlimited skipping. You get a music visualizer, and you can also select your favorite channels. Get it at the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search Surfer Music or click on the Surfer banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Chris Bledsoe, taking your phone calls, answering your questions all night long. Let's get straight back to it. Man, we've got a lot of calls on hold. And, Chris, are you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's do it. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy and Chris. My name's Jen, and I want to thank you for being here in these times right now. It's nice to hear your comforting voices. I listen to you both quite a bit.
Right on, Jen. What's your question for Chris?
So, I once heard you talking to Jimmy about people having experiences after experiencing grief. And that happened to me too. I'm wondering if you think now, with everything that's going on, maybe more people will have more experiences since there's so much tragedy in the world, unfortunately. Do you think that more people will come to light now?
Great question.
I absolutely do. 100%. Sure do. And the more we become aware of this, the more it becomes aware of us. It's like with Dr. McGuire. When he came here, I knew by the way it was acting that because when Bob came, he came with a proposal, right, to do some work together. And I actually went out and prayed and asked, should I do this? And anyhow, it answered. And I knew when he left my house, I told him, I said, it's fixing to start with you. It's not going to go away tonight. This is not your last time. It's going to get intense for you when you get home. And sure enough, it did. And the reason I say that is because of experience. So that would be an answer somewhat to your question. The more you experience this and the more grief and the more fear, the more this thing comes near to us.
Thank you for the phone call, Jen, and thank you for the question. And be safe out there.
Thanks, you too.
Yeah, thank you. That was
That's what I really love about this audience, Chris. I'm serious. They listen, they're smart, and they're here for answers. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy. This is Curtis from Toronto.
Hey, Curtis from Toronto. What do you have for Chris Bledsoe tonight?
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Chris, just first and foremost, thank you for sharing your experiences with us. Really appreciate it. So my question, though, is around the CE5 protocol. So, we have, of course, Dr. Stephen Greer coming out with his documentary about the protocols, encouraging people to get into groups and to, do this with their friends. But then you have TTSA, and I know Tom DeLonge has said before as well that he actually advises against this for various reasons. But I was just curious what your opinion is on if this is something that people should do, get in groups, give off, the positive vibes, or not.
Thank you, Curtis. Chris?
Well, yeah, 100% believe. Like the Bible says, seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened. I don't really go out looking for this stuff. In fact, I probably haven't been out in more than 2 weeks to stare at the sky. I just don't do it like that. Only when people come do I go. But I'm not so sure that there's a protocol like summoning a dog or a spirit or something. It don't work that way for me. It's just something different. To say the word, summon is a bad word. When I hear the CE5 protocol, I'm not very familiar with it. I don't really know what it means. Is it meditation? Is everybody joining hands? I'm not sure. I'm just imagining. But
it's a little, Chris and Curtis, thank you for the phone call, man. That was a great question. Thank you so much. Be safe out there.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you.
You too. Thanks.
And but what Curtis is the CE5? Yes, you brought up the key word there, which is meditation. So there's that part of it. There's the calming environment that the CE5 a group is doing. It's a very calming effect, and then they ask for contact, and so that's that part of it. And you're okay with that. My version of it is laughter. Let's have some fun. Maybe eat some good food and go out with everybody and be in a positive mindset. And that tends to work for us. And we don't go through meditation. We don't do any of that. We don't do a kumbaya. We're not holding hands or anything. I've had people come up to me, Chris, going, "Hey, man, you're too loud. You need to back down. We're trying to be quiet right now and meditate." I'm like, man, that's not how I do it. and it seems to work for us. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live. 3, 2. Oh, I hate to. Yes.
I'm here.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes. Who's calling?
Yes, sir. This is Graham. How you doing, Chris Bledsoe?
Hey, Graham. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Just glad to get through here. Thank you for both of what you do, guys. Just wanted to ask. I've had some experiences myself throughout my life, in a very bad spot in my life, and I have a hard time with people believing in what I'm saying, even though I'm experiencing it. And just curious on what your thoughts are on that. If there's any advice you could give on somebody that's experiencing this. And then I've even been fired from a job for talking about it. So just being shunned in general because of it. And also, if you've given any of the thought to the original text of the Bible and then original Sumerian thing, saying basically that that Elohim is God and then Yahweh is Jesus. But on the other effect is Elohim means the great and powerful one. So what if it's when people are praying, and I'm not trying to be non-religious or sacrilegious because I'm a believer in Yahweh, Jesus, but what is your thoughts on any of the original? Have you studied any of the original text of the Bible, and what God might be perceiving as some people thinking as it's the great and powerful ones is what that translates to. So what are your thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, thank you for that, Graham. Going back, Chris, his first question was, how does he deal with being shunned when he tries to talk about his personal experiences with others?
Well, that's something that is very hard. Just call me or call Jimmy or call a friend, and if that happens to you, walk away and call your friends that'll listen to you. You need people that'll listen to you and that can help you understand what's happening. But if you're having these experiences, tell me a small example of an experience that you've had.
Well, the most powerful one was I'm from a Texas boy, and I, of all things, went to New York to be with a woman. Long story short, I caught her cheating on me. I didn't know anybody in New York, and I was very homeless in a very bad spot in my life to where I was actually suicidal. And I walked across the street to a cemetery and was there for days just praying. And looking back on it, thinking of the cemetery, it's kind of crazy. But what happened was I was actually there. I went there, too, to we met up with some friends to do CE5 protocols, which one of the callers talked about earlier. I didn't have an experience then, but long story short, I was in the middle of New York City, not knowing nobody, no family, no friends, in a very bad spot in my life. And as I was praying, and this is a very famous cemetery across from a film production studio, believe it or not, this orb, as I'm praying, this orb comes down, and it's just a bright orb. It first looked like a star, and it came out and it moved across the top of some buildings, and I knew it was closer, and I felt the spirit, the same spirit I felt because I grew up a Christian. I grew up Church of Christ, but and eventually went into non-denominational, and I felt the spirit of the Holy Spirit around me, and it was the same kind of feeling, and this orb came down, and I didn't hear it. It was more like the Spirit of God talking to me. That's the only thing I could relate it to, though, only because that's the only thing I've experienced anywhere close to this. And this orb came down and was telling me it's going to be okay. Not even 15 minutes later, one of the care workers of the cemetery came walking through. I was like, did you see that orb-looking thing that came down? He was like, I thought I saw a bright light over here, but I came over here because I felt like I needed to. He ended up telling me of a place I could go to get on my feet, work for a few weeks, and get the bus ticket back to Texas. And so that was the most amazing experience I've ever been through in my entire life. And I'm just humbled even thinking about it right now.
Yeah, that's a great experience. And okay, so Chris, have Graham, going out and talking about this experience with people that he knows. I could understand people looking at him, okay, but that's exactly what you've been going through, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so thankful to hear your story. It was perfect. It's just like 1,000 people that's written me in the last year or two, all wanting to tell their story without being public. And it always starts out just like what you just told me. You were down on the bottom of your luck, and look, a blessing came. A light in the sky came and lit a fire up under you. And here you are talking with Jimmy and I today about this.
That's exactly the point. Hey, Graham, you've always got a family here, man, and you know that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man, and be safe.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
That you're right, Chris. That's a very inspirational story, and to hear his emotion, right, talking about it. I mean, when you're down. And you're down so far that you are in a cemetery praying, and something like that happens, and somebody walks up, and everything else that happens. Think about that. I want to get over to, before I get back to the calls, I've got a bunch of questions that have been sent in, and I want to get to the first one. This is from Brian, and Brian says it doesn't say specifically here, But he says, I want to know more about Chris's dog and the incident. And I know that we've talked about it a couple of times here on the show. Is there anything else that you can speak about what happened that particular evening?
Yeah, what I'd like to say about that is the only reason I brought that up, well, Grant tells it a lot because Grant was there and he experienced it and saw it, and there were other people there too. But I never really talk about it. But I felt I needed to because when I put it out there, when Grant put it out and I did on Richard Dolan's show, everybody automatically went to the default mode. See a demon, attacked your dog, and tried to kill it right in front of you.
Right,
That's the first thing I get, right?
Sure.
Well, I beg to differ because what happened was, this is how this thing works. Something supernatural happened to my dog right in front of Grant and I. Gashed her neck open where she was shooting blood out of her neck. Every time her heart would pump, blood would squirt out. And I had my hand on her neck and crying out for help. And when I picked my hand up, the hole just disappeared. Grant witnessed it. And so what it did, Jimmy, is it was a friend of mine from the space industry came up and when he heard about it, and he automatically said, you have a talent. You have a talent you need to use. And so there set the rest of my, since that point, in around 2012, I've been, or 2013 maybe, is when the dog thing happened. I set my whole, my direction towards servicing others, helping others if they're in need, if they're sick. Whether I can do anything or not, all I can do is ask these entities to help. And it seems like they like to. Certain people they help. Doesn't work everywhere, but that was my whole thing about the dog. I believe it was something to show me where I needed to be, what I needed to be doing. And that was given to me by my friend from NASA, one of them.
I have a question from the author, Casper Parks. Yes, Casper has sent in a question. And his question is, are you related to a Captain Bledsoe who served in the United States Navy in the 1970s?
I probably am. I wouldn't be close kin, but where was he from? Was he from North Carolina, do you know?
That's all I have got. That's it.
Pretty much all the Bledsoes are kin. I'm on a Facebook page with, there's about 900 of us, I guess, from all across the country. And we all came in at the same time in the same original family, believe it or not.
So Drew Bledsoe and you are related?
Yes. We all
really? Okay, yeah. All right. Well, the same thing with the churches. You know, a church. If somebody out there is running around with the last name Church, you can bet your bottom dollar that we're about a degree or two separated. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, how you doing, Jimmy? This is David Walker from Georgia and Florida both, but I'm here in Georgia right now. How are you? How are you doing, Chris?
Good, brother. How are you?
Doing great, my man. Hey, I was wondering, shout out to Riverside Coffee. Oh, my God, that is the best.
Yeah, River Moon.
I love it. Thank you.
River Moon Coffee. Yeah, absolutely.
River Moon, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay, David.
Hey, for some reason, like, real quick, like, up in the sky yesterday, I've been seeing these bright flashes, like, I think they're called, like, gamma ray or pulsar bursts. So it was very strange. I don't know if anybody else probably recognized that, but it happened twice. It was weird.
Yeah, okay. Well, somebody's going to say something in Twitter. You saw that in Georgia?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. In Lakeland, Georgia. And it was wild because it looked literally, I was just looking up the sky and smoking the cig, and I'm like, look up, and I see this, like, star that got really bright, like a light switch being turned on and off.
I love it. Man, I love it when that happens, man. Okay, David, what's your question for Chris?
Yes, sir. The question is, I wanted to see what your, because I have a feeling that could be a paranormal, like, ghost, like, shadow people linked to, maybe this alien and abduction stuff. Like, I've thought of that before, and I wanted to know what your scariest incident you've ever had with anything paranormal type.
What's the your scariest? Everybody loves a good scary story, Chris. What's your scariest moment?
Lord, that would be a tough one to decide. The scariest, it'd be hard to say. When I walked up the hill in the afternoon and these big balls of fire were sitting up at the top of the hill, that was scary. But what really was scary was this past Easter. Not this year, but Easter of 2019. Every year Easter something happens. It does every year. And I suspect something big this Easter too. Well, that Easter of 2019, I walk outside about 7:30 at night, and when I did, an orb about the size of a firefly appeared up above the trees and on the far side of the pond, a quarter mile away. And then it grew and started flashing and pulsating, and it grew up to about the size of a beach ball. And here it comes, and it's coming to me way up high. It gets to the pond's edge on the far side, the other side of the lake from me. It comes straight down, spiraling through the tops of the trees. When it got to the edge of the water, it was jumping up and down. Now, this orb is about big as a beach ball, and it's going up and down 10 feet high, turning from red to white to yellow. And that got me my blood pumping because I knew it was coming for me. I knew it when I first saw it. It got excited. It's like when I opened the door, it was excited. It saw me come out the door, and here it comes. So it comes across the pond and stops 25 feet from me. And it's putting on this big giant light show. And I could see a full-blown translucent entity over my pond. And I pulled my cell phone out, and when I went to record, I thought I was recording for a minute, but I wasn't. But when I hit record, the light show dimmed down to just an orb that would come on over the pond. Now it's 25 feet away out in the middle of the water. The orb would come on at its feet. It would move up and come on at its waist and then up at its head. And it did that for 18 more minutes. I filmed it for 18 minutes doing that. And that was probably as frightening a thing. It's not like something surprised you, boom, you walk around the corner and you see a face or something that's startling. This, I had time to see it coming. Here it comes. It's coming to see me, talk to me, or whatever it's going to do. But that's the reason I'm talking today, Jimmy. I've been in hiding for 8-9 years, not talking, just working behind the scenes with some pretty important people. But last Easter, when this thing came out of the sky, it said, now is chapter 2. You got to get out and tell your story, and you got to do it now. So that's immediately I went talking.
Yeah, there you go, David. Now, the day after Easter, I'm calling Chris.
Yeah,
right.
Hey, David, go Beckley Tepe, man. Be safe out there. Great
yes,
question.
Sir. Thank you so much. You guys have a great night.
Yeah, you too. That's a great question. And before we head to the break and get back to the calls, I'm going to alternate back and forth here. And this was sent in from Marco. Marco wants to know, what is going on with your project with Dr. Pasolka?
Uh-huh.
Everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to know.
Well, I wish I could talk about that. I'm under strict orders not to say a word about it. But it's been a 7-year or almost 8-year work in progress. And I can tell you, I had no clue it would take this long. I'm thinking a year when it first came, and now we're into 7, almost 8 years. And they always say the bigger deals take that long.
Well, is it, you see, when you say it like that, when you're being all elusive, and I get it, I totally get it, but people are thinking, hey, are they bringing them into the CIA? Is that what's taking so long? Is this something to do with the government agency? Is this the Pentagon? Are they taking advantage of Chris, and are they bringing him in slowly? Are they reading him in, or is it something else? It is a giant book deal. Are you? I can go on and on. Are you a patient of Dr. Pasuka? Is she doing something on the education side? It could be any of those, but we don't know.
Well, I can give you a little idea. Imagine Dr. Pasuka lives an hour and a half from me in Wilmington,
right?
Which is where Ryan, my youngest boy, stays. And of course, I've had another child to go to school there. But she was investigating UFOs because she saw a comparison between the UFO and the biblical stories. And I was her closest specimen, I guess. She calls MUFON, and they said, there's a guy right down the street. So that's how we ended up meeting. And then Diana called me and said, I want you to come meet these Hollywood writers. And I'm like, Diana, it would take an act of Congress to get me to go talk to another Hollywood writer after what happened to my family and us with the Discovery thing. And this is in 2012, right? And so I'm like, Diana, I've got to pray for a sign. I'm not, I don't want to meet these people unless I know the lady wants me to meet them. Because she said, she just came at Easter of 2012, and now we're talking October of 2012. She's trying to introduce me to these writers, and so I went out and I told them no to start with, and I walked out back, and I looked up at the heavens, and I asked the lady, I said, if this be your will, if this is what you want me to do, I need to know. And all of a sudden, this went on Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday, and then Thursday night the tree caught fire. And I called Diana, and I said, Diana, here's your I got the sign. I'll be in Wilmington in the morning. So I met these people, and it went on to a 7-8 year deal, and it'll be a really large deal, I think. And I got to be careful. I can't say much because they don't want me to.
Yeah.
Because it can mess up the deal. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally get it. And but what you're saying is everything is cool, and you're moving forward, and we'll find out soon enough. And that's all we need. Let's take a break right here, Chris. Our guest tonight, Chris Bledsoe. I've got lots of calls on hold. The number is 747-228-2051. Chris Bledsoe is with us, taking your calls and answering all of your questions. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll pick it up when we come back after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Introducing the new Surfer Music app. Listen, Fadernauts, you know I love my music. This is my go-to for all things notes. The Surfer app is a brand new concept in music listening. Surfer is free, providing unlimited access to thousands of live streaming radio stations. Surfer is an exciting interactive listening experience. Discovery and surprise are built right in. Surfer is your destination to discover and rediscover great live streaming music. It features high-quality audio streams, free access to music from thousands of live streaming radio stations, unlimited listening, unlimited skipping. You get a music visualizer, and you can also select your favorite channels. Get it at the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search Surfer Music.
or click on the surfer banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. If you ever miss a live show of Fade to Black, it's simple. Just go and get our podcast. Click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com. It is just $2 per month. We've got over 1,200 shows right there in the archives. All the apps that you need, everything is updated every single night, and it's just $2 per month. Our guest tonight is Chris Bledsoe, and we are taking your phone calls. If you have any questions or comments for Chris, the number is 747-228-2051. 747-228-2051. And Chris, before we get back to the calls, I wanted to ask you that when all of these references that come in, and I just got another email, by the way, talking about this, these references that come in from others about the Bible, of course, there's the show Ancient Aliens. Is that what the ancient civilizations were seeing and communicating with, and they didn't have another choice but to... Because they don't know what an ancient or an ET civilization is from another planet or another star system. They can't relate it that way. They have to probably go to a god or something religious. And if those communications are happening, what are they going to go, the leaders of these villages, if they're going to go back and tell the people what? They have to say it's God or angels. They can't say it's little gray dudes from Zeta Reticuli because the village wouldn't know what they were talking about, right?
Well, yeah and no. Some of those, they would call them messengers. not just necessarily an angel, but a messenger. It's all over the Bible. There's a word. If you pull up a Bible Gateway or one of those Bible Hub search engines where you can plug a word in, put the word cloud in, and it'll show up 100 times or 99 times in the King James Bible. And we know this because Diana Pasulka discovered it. Her and our friend Dr. Zervas discovered that when King James translated the Bible, he actually changed the meaning of that word from if a Hebrew person, ancient Hebrew, would have said that word cloud, it wouldn't have meant a weather phenomenon. It would have meant an object in the sky, or a throne, or an angel, right?
Right.
So they didn't know what we were dealing with, and we still don't. But what I can tell you, based on all these years and how it interacts with me and my family, it's based on, just like Graham said earlier, he was down and out on his luck, and it came. So, I've got 1,000 people that's told me that, which backs up exactly what happened to me. So I lean real hard into believing whatever they are, whoever they are, they listen to your thoughts, they hear your prayers, they hear what you're thinking, they know what you're going to do before you do it. They can build your life up or they can tear it down. They can do either or. So I think we have to shine some very bright light out of our hearts and align ourselves with these good entities, because there's dark ones too. Where there's light, there's dark.
Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, it's Paul from Cloudy Grants Pass. Just real clouds.
Yeah, right on, Paul. What have you got for Chris tonight?
I've been an investigator and a case presenter for 30 years, and I can usually tell when somebody's yanking my chain and when they're not. And you are absolutely sincere in what you are presenting. I believe that from the bottom of my heart, just so you know. Listen to you on Dolan, of course, listen to you.
Okay, you're cutting, Paul, you're cutting in and out. Get straight to your question.
Okay, question. Why you? Why you? Is it geology? Is it geography? Why were you chosen? And then, just as an aside, tell them to send some of the good ones my way. I'd love to meet them.
Yeah, there you go, Paul. Thank you for the question. Why you? That's a great question. Why you, Chris?
I've asked that 1,000 times, and I don't like to feel like I'm anything special at all, because I'm not. I'm no different just than anyone different. I asked that to George Zervas. Why is this happening, George? Why? He's a very good friend of mine, and he looked at me real hard one day, and he said, "Why not you? Somebody's got to take this word to the public, and I think you're well suited for it." And that's all he would tell me. So I don't know why. I can't answer that, but I know it is. I know it is. And a lot of people knows it is, just like Dr. McGuire. You heard what he saw and his wife experienced, and other people's the same way. I mean, he's not the first one. Dr. Alexander John, he called me today. From Las Vegas. Said it looked like a ghost town there. But he experienced it with me, and I was able to tell him ahead of time that it was coming because of the radiation that it puts off. It's like euphoria, adrenaline, or I don't know how best to say it, but it's very real. So so many people see this, and I have videos, and like the video I shared with you, I haven't released that to the public yet, but sometime or another we're going to. And there's no not seeing that. When you see it, you see it. You can't unsee it.
Right. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live. 3, 2. I hate to do this, Chris, but 3, 2, 1. Call back. Okay, let's go to. I hate to do that. Hi, you're live on FadeToBlack. Who's calling?
Hello.
Yes. You're live.
Oh, man. Hello, I just did it.
Okay, you're live.
Hello.
You're live. Turn me down in the background.
All right. Sorry, let's start now. I forgot about the delay.
Okay. Turn me down in the background, or we're going to have to...
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay. What have you got for... What's your name?
Curtis.
Another Curtis. 2 Curtises in one night. Curtis, what do you have for Chris?
What I was about to say is the goddamn food shortage.
Okay, but no foul language on this show. You're going to get bleeped. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
Sorry.
what's your question, Curtis?
All right. When it comes to this point, I'd like to say Psalms 83:18. And anyone who has a different Bible, it's up to them.
Okay, all right. I have no, and thank you for the phone call, Curtis. Psalms 83:18. Do you know what that is off the top of your head, Chris?
I don't, but I can look it up real quick.
Yeah, well, look it up and we'll get back to it later. And before we go back to the calls, I want to go to an email. I've got a bunch of emails that have come in. This one is from Sally. Sally says, many different tuned-in spiritual sources are speaking of there becoming 2 alternate consensus Earth realities. One that moves into higher states of being, peace, etc., and one that continues on the path of strife and separation. Has he ever received any information regarding that?
Yes. In a manner of speaking, yes. I don't know about 2 different realities, but as far as worlds, but there's going to be an awakening, and that awakening, the Bible calls it the apocalypse. If I say that word, everybody freaks out. It means the end of the world. Well, it doesn't. It means to reveal a secret that's been hidden, to tell a truth that is unknown. So that truth is coming, and it's coming to those that listen. And the UFO thing, this what's happening is going to become real. And when it becomes real to, like Bob, when it happened to Bob, now it happens to him all the time. And he'll see it the rest of his life because it is attached to him now. So maybe, just maybe, we awaken. We could probably awaken as a mass planet to a new world and never suffer anymore. It's possible. But we got to get rid of the darkness. We got to get rid of the strife and the wars and all that before that can happen.
Let's go back.
Awakening.
Yeah, let's go back to the phones. I've got so many. The email is just coming in nonstop here. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on FadeToBlack. Who's calling?
Hi, my name is Ian.
Hi, Ian. How are you?
I'm good. I want to tell you a story of an experience I had earlier this morning. I live in Pennsylvania, and I actually work for supply chain warehousing for hospital supplies. So I was getting up early in the morning, as I do. I start work at 6 a.m., walking out to my car. It's between 5:55, 5:57 a.m. And I look up at the sky, look at the stars, and walk into my car, and I see a line of stars. I'm like, I've never seen that before. It was really big, like 8 to 10 of them, whatever. So I go to my phone to quickly grab the Sky Guide app and see what it was. As I'm grabbing my phone, I realize those aren't stars. Those are orbs of some kind, and they're moving across the sky. And I'm looking at them, and I can't believe how many there are. There must be 15 to 20 of them. Now I'm looking northeast, and I see them, and they're moving and they're consolidating farther along the curvature. I looked at them as long as I could, but I had to get straight to work and did a little research. Apparently some people in Texas saw it as well. So whatever it was big and far away.
Do you think it was Elon Musk and his what's he calling that thing, Chris? His Starlink. Do you think it was the Starlink system, Ian?
Do you think it could have been?
Could have been. I've seen I've seen a lot of pictures of Starlink that are going around lately, and I kind of felt that, you know, when you're setting up, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these satellites in a row, you know, to link up, I think the number is going to be ultimately 16,000, and I think he's just asked for more, that people are going to see this up in the sky, and especially with not only naked eye but night vision, and think it's, you know, something really crazy. I'm not saying that's what you saw, but the way that you've described it to me, it could be, and that's all that I'm saying. But putting this over to Chris really quick. Chris, have you ever seen a string of orbs? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10?
Yes.
You
often.
Have? Really?
Often, yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go, Ian. You see, Chris just put me in my place right there. I hope you enjoyed that. But okay, all right, and it didn't pop up on your app, and that is pretty interesting.
They were there for him to see. They wanted you to see it. So just now start watching your dreams. When you see these lights, when you see these orbs, pay attention to your dreams.
Ian, thank you for the phone call, my friend.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. That's pretty interesting. I haven't seen anything like that, but you have.
Well, I was going to say, I have a friend named Vincent Jenna. You may know Vincent. He's a medium, but he lives in Raleigh, and I met him at George Norrie's event in Asheville a couple of years ago. But he came back this past summer, and Ryan and Emily and I walked out to the pond with him, and as soon as we did, the sky came alive. 7 or 8 orbs just appeared and started flying. Just kept coming. So yes, not uncommon at all to see half a dozen of them together.
Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy. It's Brian from Connecticut.
Hi, Brian from Connecticut. Say hi to Chris.
Chris, nice to meet you.
Same here, Brian.
What have you got, Brian?
I have a question for Chris. Is it possible that he can disclose some of the future events that were told to him years back? I had heard one about the earthquake in California that occurred. That was one of the things that he was told by his experiences with these beings or entities he's been in contact with. Is he able to give any vision on the future?
Chris?
Well, if I was to say it was the future, I wouldn't. I really couldn't confirm that. What I can tell you is when I was missing for 4.5 hours, I felt like I was in a movie theater, literally inside of something round, and I could see through the walls on it, or just see these. It was like the screen everybody talks about, and I saw wars and I saw starvation really bad. I saw my own children starving, and that just messed me up for the longest time. So I never talk about the negative stuff, only the positive. But I think that we'll have to see that this book of Revelations, if there are people really using it as a script. If they are, there'll be more to come.
Thank you for the phone call, Brian, and be safe out there, my friend. Brian, are you there? Oh, I guess Brian is gone. Oh, actually, I had him on mute. My bad, Brian. I'm so sorry about that. All right, let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jim, it's Ron from Chicago. Good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Ron. What have you got for Chris tonight?
Well, the first thing I want to say is, I was listening to your program. I was at work, and I was in my office, and I finally, at the end of my shift, I got in my car, and I dashed home to give you a call, and I couldn't believe that I'm the only car on the Kennedy Expressway to get home, and finally I got in touch with you. And I just want to say to Chris how much of a pleasure it is, sir, to have an opportunity to talk to you on Jim's program, because I strongly am committed and believe in every word and every single detail you say about your extraordinary experience, because it happened to me myself. And I will want to emphasize to you, first, yes, in Chicago in the year 2012, I did see a UFO, which I called Jim and talked about what I'd seen. And actually, I was told that if I talked about it, that I could possibly lose my career and lose my job, which I work for the government. But I finally talked to Jim and told him my experience. But here's what I want to emphasize to you. You mentioned about a lady. And I do want to emphasize, a month after I saw a UFO, I did see an orb. But what I saw was a hologram in midair. And then I looked at it, and it was a picture of a woman. And she looked, I know this sounds ludicrous. I know it sounds completely crazy, but I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I do take drug testing every 3 months. But what I wanted to ask you with the lady, do you think that it is a mind? In other words, how does she react to you physically and mentally? Do you call for her, or does she periodically come to you? And in your experience, do you feel comfortable with her, or are you insecure, or do you feel afraid of her? Because my experience is, when I seen her, she seen me. Did I communicate with her in language? No, but we were staring at each other, and then all of a sudden there was a flash, and then there was an orb, and then the orb was moving away. And I was wondering, in your presence, when you see her, what is your feeling, and how is your emotions inside you as far as seeing something? Because quite frankly, it's a possibility that you might, and I really mean to say this, that you might be a saint and seeing something that's possibly religious and nothing from a UFO. I'm just somewhat trying to get your opinion by that.
Thank you for that, Ron. So many people, Chris, want to know about the lady. And let me look at the clock. Okay, we got enough time here. Let's go to the first part. Are you calm? Are you at ease when you are in presence of the lady?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm calm. I'm mighty excited, but not scared, not afraid, just in total shock and awe to see something like that. To experience that changed my whole UFO world, from 5 years of darkness to the light came in the door. And no, I'm not afraid at all, and I'm not nervous. I might be nervous because I'm in front of something that's powerful. Is she an angel? I don't know.
He mentioned, he mentioned he looked into her eyes. Did you guys make eye-to-eye contact?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, she was 6 feet away from me.
Right.
Full in our existence. I mean, she came from out of a portal, but she looked as real as anybody else, except that she was floating and 6 feet away, and she had bright blue eyes with golden blonde hair and a dress that sparkled like you were seeing the stars in the sky. And it's just, I can't explain. I cried, Jimmy. I cried for 6 years, 5 years.
Right.
Every time I tried to tell this story, I'd start crying. I can't explain why. It did something to me that words can't explain. I know a truth now. I know a reality that is crying out to help us and to help us get through these troubling times. They're here for us. They're watching over us.
I know the feeling. You know what? I'm going to make you laugh right now. I cried the first time I saw Eddie Van Halen on stage.
I probably would have too, because I loved Eddie Van Halen.
Oh, man. I'll never forget that. I'm with a couple of friends, and I turned, and I had tears. I had a lump in my throat. You know, everybody's yelling and screaming. I was like, man, I can't even talk right now. So at least I'm coming clean. Ron, thank you for the phone call, my friend. I hope that answers your questions, and I want you to be safe out there in Chi-Town. I was born in Chicago, and I love taking those phone calls from Chicago. Before we get there, I'm going to get to this question really quick that came in. I've got a whole list of questions I need to get to, and it's this. Is it true that this is from, this is from the Kecksburg Kid. Is it true that Jim Semivan told your family there is a higher order of beings out there? Is that true, Chris?
No, I wouldn't say that is true, but I've heard that before. But I don't remember Jim telling me that. Jim is just as curious about what's going on as you and I are.
Okay. All right.
I know his experience. I can't tell it. That's one thing that he's going to let somebody else tell. He told me recently, he said, just leave my story out. A&E's going to take care of that. So I think
leave my story out. A&E's going to take care of it. All right. Yeah. One of these days, I'm going to get Semi-Van on this show. I've got about 500 million questions I need to ask Semi-Van. And with that, let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Chris Bledsoe. We're taking your phone calls, answering all of your questions. I've got a bunch of stuff that's come in via email. I've got tons of stuff via Twitter. I've got calls on hold. We'll get to everything after this short break. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger-looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Chris Bledsoe is our guest. Open lines tonight with Chris. 747-228-2051. 747-228-2051. We're taking your calls. We're answering your questions. I have a whole pile of stuff that has been emailed in and certainly coming in via Twitter, too, as well. And we'll get to all of those. Chris, you ready to go back to the phones?
Sure.
All right, let's do this. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? Turn me down in the background. Well, I just lost that. See, you got to be ready when you call in 747-228-2051. And before we, okay, all right. I think this caller's now ready. Let's see if we can do this. Do you have me turned down? You got to turn me down in the background. Okay, that's it. That call is not going to be. Let's go over to here. Question from Huskers. Why does the phenomena care about contact with us? Is it altruistic?
It's because it reminds me, well, they made us. I'm sure of it. I'm pretty sure that they're the guardians, the keepers of this terrarium that we live on called Earth. I think that they completely take care of us, look over us, and maybe more like they take care of evolution. I don't know. It's about the best thing I can come up with there.
Yeah, fair enough. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Mirella.
Hi, Mirella. How are you?
Oh, good. There's a delay. I'm not sure how it works. I just want to phone in. Hello, Chris. Hello, Jimmy.
Hello, Mirella. And are you
fantastic.
You're calling from Australia.
I am.
Right on. What's your question for Chris?
It's taken me a really long time to put my story together, and I couldn't talk about any of it for. I'm 59 this month. I was 59 on the 6th of March, and I just finished a little set of paintings that I did my first sighting when I was a little girl, and a second sighting that I had of an orb in Germany, and a last sighting that I had where I'm living now in Sydney. But my question is it important? How important, Chris, is it to be talkative about it. I find I'm very camera shy, and Jimmy, to tell the truth, I've called, but I've hung up. Like last year, for 2 years, I've been wanting to call in and just say that I'm still here, I'm still listening, loving you, loving everyone and the guests. Not listening to some people that I was listening to like years ago in about 2012. But yeah, my question is, how important is it to bring a message across? Is it enough that I do what I do? And they're very happy with me because I have a lot of lights in the sky that I look at, and some are reoccurring in the same place and others are random, but I don't ever disclose, not even to my family, except my daughters. And now they're very curious, and I understand more and more people are so curious. But you're the very first person that has really explained it on a timeline where you've had troubles and this and that, and almost to the point of silence, being silenced by the phenomena.
Yeah.
But they're not silencing me. I get very excited. I feel excited. I was a Christian. I can speak in tongues, and when I do speak in the tongue of angels, I say it's the same thing. I have a daughter that's a Christian, goes to church in LA, and I've got a daughter here that goes and studies the Quran and is a Muslim girl, so she married a Muslim. So the two girls have similar talking. We talk the same. Like with my ETs, they talk to me, they do things. I talk, I speak, I pray to them. All the things that you're talking about. But how important is it to be disclosing?
Yeah, and Morello, let me jump in. Chris, she brings up a great point. How important is it to speak about your experiences as opposed to keeping them to yourself?
Well, it's very important, especially now. It's a lot easier now than it was 12 years ago, I can tell you. I got hit with a ball bat, you might say, immediately when I went to tell the story. I thought the world would want to know, and then bam, ridicule, and so on. But now it's a lot easier, and I think you should tell your story. You should share. Everybody should share, because that's what the world needs. The world needs to know this thing is real, because it will move us into a whole different realm, an awakening into a new world order, to where it'll be peaceful.
Morella, thank you for the phone call. Be safe out there in Australia, and always remember, just talk about it. Thank you so much, Morella, and go Beckley Tepe. And before we go back to the phone calls, I've got so many different questions that have been sent in, and there's a ton of them, I might add. First up this is from Dallas. Dallas wants to know if you see everything like an Ezekiel type of experience.
Well, I'd have to know more about what he's describing there. Ezekiel was seeing a wheel within a wheel, a mechanical craft, and yes, I have seen that. I don't know the best way to answer that or address that question, but
well, you know what? And you're right about that, because there's so many different elements to the Ezekiel story. And one of those, which I think is fundamental, the basis of Ezekiel was that he was dreaming, right? Mm-hmm. And it was I believe, I'm not a biblical scholar, far from it, but I believe he was like underneath a tree and was dreaming and had a vision of all of this. And I've often wondered, was it described as a dream because the experience was real, but he didn't want it portrayed that way, right? And so he said he was just dreaming, and I think that may be part of it. I'm not sure, but the wheel within a wheel, I definitely have always felt like it was mechanical, right? That this wasn't a bird, this wasn't some natural phenomenon. You said clouds earlier, right? I don't think it was any of that. I think what he saw was something mechanical, and it didn't make sense to see something like that in the sky, right? So there must have been something, what's the word? Physical. I think it was a physical experience.
Well, that's the whole problem with this whole thing with people's faith. You know, I'm not selling religion. That's not my intention. I was raised in the church, and I still have those grounding. But my dog, he's wanting to go out.
Yeah, what kind of dog?
A sheepdog, a Scottish border collie.
A big one?
Yeah, he's about 50 pounds. Loves to catch frisbee.
That's what I'm talking about.
He's just locked in my room in there with me. But
what's his name? What's his name?
Buddy.
Hey, Buddy. Chris is on the radio. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, this is Tiffany Mack.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, Jimmy.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing good. What have you got for Chris?
Good. Well, you know, Chris and I are buddies, aren't we, Chris? Are we good buddies? Yeah. So you all were talking sort of this religion aspect, but my daughter is in a Catholic school, and from the age of about 2 years old, she decided to talk about these things in her room that were what I would consider, you know, Jimmy and I were sort of like these paranormal dudes. We like to talk about orbs. Well, what I would consider orbs. And as a 2-year-old, she decided to talk to these things, and she called them the little things. And she would fly. She would say that they would fly around the room and they would land on her. And at 2 years old, she was very articulate. And I said, "Well, what are they doing?" And she said, "Well, you see these things on my wrist, Mom?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Those are veins." And I said, "Veins, okay." And she goes, I said, "What do they do?" And she said, "They go inside and they check my blood." And I'm like, "Oh my God, okay." So they check your blood, and what do they do? I said, do they do that to, what do they do? She said, "They check my blood to see if I'm okay." I'm like, "Okay, do they do that to Mommy?" And she said, "No, Mommy, don't be silly. They have yours already." So what do you think about this generational issue? Do you feel that maybe they're following generations, they're following the mommies and the daddies and the babies? Do you feel like that's happening?
Yeah, I think so. I think that they're just watching us over, tending to us, and they have certain people that they I think that they whisper in a lot of ears and many don't hear it, but some of us do. And without saying too much, I don't know why they pick certain people and they don't, other than it's physical. I've heard there's a physical difference in the brain, but it's not going to hurt you. It hasn't hurt anybody unless you're calling in, channeling in some dark magic or something. It's not the way it works. When I was saying clouds, Jimmy, earlier, the clouds in the sky, it's all over the Bible where Jesus says, when I come back, when I return to earth, I'm coming in or I'm coming on a cloud from heaven. So it's in there. It's in the Bible. It's mixed into it. And the conundrum is the technology. People can't see technology and angels by no means. They just can't get it. It's got to be an alien or an ancient alien. But I got sidetracked, Tiffany. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Tiffany said, is it the brain or the blood?
Brain.
It's the brain. There you go, Tiffany.
That's what I'm hearing.
Tiffany, thank you for the
Well,
phone
so-
call. Okay, go ahead.
No,
You
but-
got one
okay,
more. Okay,
so
go ahead. Go
what
ahead.
we were, Christopher and I, we all know the story of like the ancient bloodline, right? We talk
Right.
about maybe the RH negatives. Do you feel that maybe the RH negatives have an issue with this as well?
I don't know if it does or not. I just know that it follows through the mother's side, from what I've been told through some of my contacts, that it comes through the mom usually, and or about 85% Native American Cherokee, especially Cherokee. If you have that,
Yeah,
there's
and
a
we
high
have talked about that
percentage.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
I think
we
that,
have the Native American as well. We
Yeah,
have
I
the
think-
Cherokee bloodline as well.
Well, isn't that the RH negative component?
Not necessarily. It goes back to like the Basques, right? A certain region, but that's both sides of my family have that.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't even know what kind of blood I have. If I get in trouble, I got no answers for the hospital, man. That's all there is to it. Tiffany,
Go for OH. Go for O negative.
Tiffany, thank you for the phone call, and go Beckley Tepe. Thank you
you.
so much. And okay, before I go back to the phones, Chris, I'm just going to let you know I have been backed up on what is happening here with email and Twitter, and I'm going to try to get all of these in. This question comes in from, I think it's Dwayne. Hey, can you ask Chris if the bull that knocked him over hurt him? Okay, there's like 4 questions, so let's do this one first. The bull that knocked you over, did you get hurt?
No, not one bit. Other than, I fell backwards, fell on my back into the leaves, and that kind of winded me for a minute. But no, I saw it go over me completely, the whole entire thing, but I could see through it. And I thought, it would have hurt me, but it didn't. It was translucent.
He's got a second question, and that was, and what feelings he had when the rib cage hairy sausage object was given to him. And that was, you know what? I still think about that when he told about the object that was given to you. Did you have any feelings as you held this object?
Well, I was afraid of it. It felt like a little small dog with no leg or no head, no, but it was alive. It felt like a living thing. So I didn't know what I had. It was dark. And it was prickly in my hands, like it had real prickly fur. So I set it in a dog kennel, and the minute I did is when this portal opens up, and out comes this cow, bull. And the next day, I don't even know if it was the next day, because what happened when she came, it got me so good, I didn't think about that object anymore. It was probably 1 or 2 days afterwards that I went out checking for where it was, and it wasn't there anymore. It was gone. So I don't know what it was, other than I've asked many questions, and in my dreams it came to me that it represented all living people and beings right now, that we're without direction. We're at a point in life we have no direction, forward or backwards. We're just we're not doing what we should to this earth, this planet. We're abusing the world, and we're just running to and fro without any direction.
Dwayne's got one last question. I think you kind of answered it, but I'll ask it anyway since he wrote it. When you held the object, were you creeped out, or was it funny?
No, I was creeped out bad. The whole thing was creepy, being out there in the woods, and with these entities. I'd seen them before, more than one time, and still do from time to time. It's not that often, but that had me creeped out bad to start with. And then when the bull and the lady came, that just rocked my whole world. It changed everything. I can't tell you how much that changed my whole life. And it got the attention of a lot of people.
This comes from Tara. Tara wants to know, you have referred to these contacts as being angels. Are they specific to you, or are they here for the earth?
They're here for the earth. They're here for the world. I honestly believe that they're the engine that creates everything. No, look at all the life that's been on this planet through the archaeological layers of dinosaurs and all these different ape people, Lucy, and millions and millions and millions of species. Well, none of that happened by natural selection. That didn't happen by Darwin. There's no way. You can't get a chicken from an elephant or an elephant from a chicken. It just don't work that way. So something has created everything here, and I believe it be the angels. And there's a good reason I believe that. For one is the triangle they wore on the chest, because that got some attention to people that was curious about that. And I was told that it was same markings were on some of the crashed relic stuff.
Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Jeff, Bountiful, Utah.
Hi, Jeff from Utah.
How are you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing good. What's your question tonight?
I just had a question for Chris about dreams, and then like a comment if I can kind of follow up about it. What do you, if anything, think dreams actually are?
Chris?
Well, I've thought about that a lot. I honestly think that maybe we live in simultaneous worlds, like several worlds at one time, and maybe we're bleeding over into that other dimension, like the movie, remember the one with Jackie Chan? Or was it Jackie Chan? Or Jet Li? And, or, I don't quite know. I know that they turn out real. Dreams are very important, especially if you see these lights. If you see the lights in the sky, watch for your dreams. How I did a lot of work on over the years working with scientists and all would be to follow my dreams. That's where a lot of stuff comes from. A lot of patterns come from dreams. It's given to us. The messages or the answers are given. Like Tesla got a lot of his stuff out of dreams. My friend, well, I'm not going to use his name, but one of my friends have 55 patents, and they all come through these dreams.
Do you remember your dreams?
Yeah, well, quite a bit, I do. If I set out to.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Man, I'm limited on time here. Jeff, you said you had a quick comment.
Yeah, just a quick comment, which is basically, in my perspective, is that possibly what we're experiencing right now is a dream, and that when we fall asleep, all of it disappears.
Yep.
And then we enter into another dream, which is actually another reality of ours, another lifetime.
Yeah, possibly. And Jeff, go Beckley Tepe, man. Thank you for the phone call.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great phone call right there. I try to remember my dreams, too, as well. And I'm going to squeeze in one more phone call before the break, and then we'll come back. We'll do some overtime, and I'll get to all of the rest of everybody's email and Twitter questions. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
You there, Jimmy?
Yes, who's calling?
It's the Bee's Nest.
The Bee's Nest?
Yeah, yeah, that's what they call me.
Okay, what's your question for Chris?
Hey, Chris, can you give us any predictions for the future?
I'm not much on doing that. Although I have a lot of things I dream, and I sometimes want to tell it, but
I've gotten Bee's Nest. Thank you for the phone call, and go Beckley Tepe. Be safe out there. I'll say this really quick, Chris. I've got like 8 emails Can we get another prophecy? Can we get another prediction for the future? Is there anything else that the lady said about what's going on? Did you have any visions about coronavirus? It's endless when it comes to that side of things. But that's not what you do, is it?
No, I'm not into that. Even though I worry about it, I saw a lot of things of earthquakes in the center of the country that was so bad that it all, just things I saw. They showed me these things. They showed me wars and famines and plagues, and I immediately went to prepping for years. I started prepping like crazy. I plowed up half my backyard and put in chickens and animals, and all because of that. And then I finally realized it may not happen tomorrow. Everything they showed me was such a impact that I thought the world was going to come to an end the next day. I didn't realize until I saw Edgar Casey thing and realized that he made prophecies that are hundreds of years old.
Right.
Or what's the name?
In the future.
Yeah, Nostradamus. Right, Nostradamus. So, if you ever remember the Nostradamus files where they did, the History Channel had a show, and they would show him looking into a little bowl of water, and then he would see tanks and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's what it was like when they took me for 4.5 hours, which seemed like a lot longer. But I kept seeing these images, these visions of weapons exploding over our land and weapons exploding overseas, and just famine and war. And when they showed me that, they told me this does not have to happen, but we're on a trajectory for it to happen.
Here's a quick question from Susan that you can answer before the break. We have about 2.5 minutes. Susan wants to know your thoughts on reincarnation.
Well, I'm like the last caller when he talks about dreams. I think that by these orbs, remember, I was a deacon in the church, so I believed every word the Bible said. That's what I thought. Well, reincarnation is not in the Christian faith, but today it is for me. I've got pictures of my dog after it died. I've got pictures of children and all kinds of people in these balls of light that are all around us. And I have, sometimes there'll be thousands of orbs that show up. They're like children in these things, and there are people in them. So what does that mean? What did it mean when Jesus said, if you believe like me, you can do anything? You can make a mountain move if you just had the faith of a tiny little mustard seed. So what is he saying? He's saying that you're in an illusion. So I think maybe we live in an illusion, and it's more about the soul, the journey of the soul. So we come back, or we go through different places. I don't know, but I'm up for that. I'm speculating too here.
There you go. Chris, let's take a break right here. We got to get this in, and when we come back, I'll get all of your email questions in, and I'm going to try to get it all in. We might get a couple of more phone calls in, too, as well. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Chris Bledsoe, answering all of your questions. We'll be right back after this short break. It's Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Stay with us.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of FadeToBlack, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the FadeToBlack blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of FadeToBlack. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is FadeToBlack blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JamieChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest, Chris Bledsoe, answering all of your questions. And now, Chris, I'm going to switch over to email, and I've got a ton of questions. I'm going to try to get all of these in the and Twitter for everybody that didn't get a chance to call in on the phones. Next question is, Chris, are you ready? By the way, I forgot to say welcome back. I'm ready. All right. Chris, have you ever been exposed to any classified information, and are you obligated to any non-disclosure agreements?
I haven't signed anything. I never have. Wasn't never asked to, but yeah, I've seen classified stuff. Seen and been exposed to some, yeah.
Yeah, like what?
Well, I can't say.
Oh,
It's
Chris,
classified.
that's no fun. That's no fun. That's why you're on the show. It's my job to get that kind of stuff out of you.
Yeah, well, everything's classified. Things in the government can be even satellites or codes, and satellites are one of the most protected secret things out there.
So you've been exposed to satellite information. See how I do it? You see how I do it? You see that, Chris? Like, what did you see?
Well, you just twisted my arm, aren't you? Maybe I've seen some cameras and different things that some of these things can do, and it's amazing what they have out there.
And are they looking at UFOs? Are they looking at aliens? Are they looking at you? What are they looking at?
Well, they're looking at everything. Every time there's a rocket launch, there is eyes on that rocket. I mean, ground-based binoculars or telescopes, and then after it gets out of that range comes a high-flying airplane, used to be called the WB-57, and those are your NRO guys, National Reconnaissance Office. In fact, a friend of mine ran that program. But there's another jet, F-104 Starfighter, that they put rockets on, and they'd go right on up into space following this thing to see what might come, give it a peep, or visit it. So I can just tell you, when those rockets go up, there are things always watching. Always.
Yeah, the Space Force launched their first rocket today. I wonder if that was monitored, and no information about what the payload was or what they were doing. But I found that very interesting. Okay, let's go back to I have this email here, which is this is from Kevin. Kevin says, do you think your experience has been disclosure for you?
Absolutely is disclosure for me and this whole family and everybody that's come in touch or had an experience with us, right? I wouldn't say everybody, but there's a lot of people that have come here and have changed their lives. Disclosure. I don't need the government to tell me it's real. In fact, they asked me.
This is from Eric. I'm not sure what this means. The Supreme Creator sends out the shining ones. My guess is Chris is communicating with a shining one.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they told me they were when I first met them. In 2007, when that incident happened, they told me they were called the Guardians. They had this triangle on their chest, and that they worked for creation. And so I naturally assumed angels because of they came in light, and when you get near that light, you find out there's a mechanical thing in there in that light. As long as it's bright, you can't see it. But yeah.
This comes in from Berserk Scorpion. It says it's long. Let me get to the end of it. I don't know the exact nature of the new knowledge that humanity will awaken to on the 23rd of September 2026. But still, can you guess what it could be?
Full disclosure, or as full as we want to get it. But I think we're going to awaken to a time of peace and a new knowledge and of living with these beings. I think they'll come and be more interactive once we all accept who they are and don't hurt them and shoot at them.
Can you, if they want Chris to go out and tell the story, why are you reluctant to tell the negative sides of the story, like negative parts of prophecies?
Because I know how it affects people. And I've tried to tell this story for 13 years. And every time I bring up any of the negative parts, I see people's face just their eyes glass over, and you lose them at that point. So I have completely stayed away from the negative, and I only want to tell the positive. And there's way more positive than negative. The only thing I have had to deal with negative is what first happened to me when I was taken, and I saw all these, and during the first year or 2 years, they kept coming, and I kept seeing these awful battles and wars and, famine, starvation, the earth, burning up, that kind of thing. But I didn't want to go down that route. I didn't want to tell that story. I didn't want to be the one to bring negative anything. So I've always stuck to the positive side, which is the healing side. And when I believe whatever you align yourself with is how things work out,
What is, and this is from Noel, what is your view on the afterlife?
Well, I think when you die, you go right. You don't go anywhere. I mean, you just go into a different realm where these orbs are. And maybe you stay there a while. No, I've followed these reincarnation documentaries quite a bit, and there's things where people die and then 70 years later they come back as something. So they were undoubtedly somewhere for them 70 years, right?
Right.
Till they come back as another child. So maybe they're just trapped in an orb. Maybe that's the real world. Maybe we're in a fake world, an illusion. And the real world is the eternal world, where the human or the body or the soul or the spirit goes when you leave this body. This is definitely a temporary shell.
Yeah, you need to, one of these days, you need to sit down with the Dalai Lama. I'm not kidding. I'm being straight up, Chris. You need to sit down with the Dalai Lama. He's reincarnated, and I think you guys need to share some stories. I got time for one quick phone call. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live.
My name is Adam.
Adam, what's your question for Chris?
My question for Chris is, what's going on with this coronavirus? You know, I live over here in Detroit, Michigan. My backyard is the metro airport.
Okay, what's going on with the coronavirus? Well, that's the question. Chris, what's going on with the coronavirus?
Well, it's pretty scary, right? But from what I'm seeing as far as death tolls and infection rates, it's not as bad as some of the other stuff we've seen. Like H1N1 had 60 million cases in America and 13 or 14,000 died in 1 year. We got 300,000 in the whole world, and they're like the world's coming to an end. So I think you'll be okay. Just stay at home and do what you're supposed to, and this too will pass. It'll go away, and the light will come back. We'll be out of this in another couple of months, I think.
There you go, Adam. Thank you for the phone call. Be safe out there in Detroit, and go Beckley Tepe. I've got one other, I've got a couple of emails that have just come in, and one of them is this. This is from Emily. She wants to know if you followed anything of the remote viewing projects from the Farsight Institute.
Not the Farsight. If it was, if I was involved in that, I didn't know it, but yeah, the remote viewing, I've done some of that. I've actually studied with John Alexander on some of that. But I don't know about the Farsight Institute. I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, now, let's see. The number one question tonight that has come in over and over again, so I'm just going to ask a general version of it. What and when is all of this coming?
Well, I think that we're about to unload some evidence here before too long, which, if it gets to the right channels, it'll be a different story then, because it's there and people will have to address it. I think this year, 2020, is going to show up to be something. Let me say this. I called my friend Jim and Bob and different ones within friends of mine. And I told them that Easter, when this thing came at Easter last year, or 2019, it told me it's now chapter 2. It's time to start talking. Tell your story. It said that it's going to be a revealing of sorts. So I told that to these government people. There is going to be a revealing, so we should keep an eye on the sky. You're going to see a lot more reports, and that's what's happening now. It's coming in. All the ships in the Navy, I hear, are seeing these things. We're getting reports every day. So this year is going to be a big year, but it's not going to come over all at once. It'll be a 5-year, 6-year thing of spoon feeding this information to the public.
Well, why not now, though, Chris? I mean, well, even though it seems to be happening a little bit, like you said, spoon feeding, but why not just go for it? Why not now?
Well, there's so many sides to this thing. You got people that want to see, they want this to be aliens with ray guns and a S-32B cruiser coming from some planet somewhere, and they make, that's what they want. They don't want my story to come out, right? So there's so much conflict there. It's just got to come out the right way, Jimmy. And, it's very important to do it the right way. That's what the lady told me. She said, you have to tell your story. The truth has to be told. There's going to be deception out there. But you know the truth, and you should tell what you know. And so that's what I started doing. And a lot of people don't like it. I've had my wife threatened, my children threatened to our face here at our house, saying, if you release this information, we'll take care of your family. They don't want me to tell this. Why? Why don't they bother other UFO people? They're out talking every weekend. They never get threats and that kind of thing. But the minute I start sharing this, we start getting death threats, you see. So there's a push for this side not to come out, and there's a push for the other side. So you got a problem there of what information gets to come public.
Is this Chris? Is this a new consciousness? Being born and formed.
I think so. I think it is. Yeah. I think the whole story is going to come out in its own time and in the right way. No matter how bad we want to get this disclosure out, it's going to come out the correct way, and I know that, and they're going to see to it. You see, what's funny, Jimmy, is when Bob called me, Bob said, I want to come see you and bring some equipment and try to film this stuff. What I didn't tell him was at Easter, just a few months before, when this entity came, it said, we're going to help you with a camera and with photos and video and with witnesses to tell this to the world. That's what it told me as I was filming it, right?
Right.
And so here comes Bob, 3-4 months later, calls me, I want to come bring cameras and film this stuff at your house. So what would be the odds of that? Because all I have is a cell phone, right? And after I was told that, here comes Dr. McGuire, and he's got all the best equipment. And then I walk outside 3 nights in a row over New Year's, and I looked up at the sky and I said, if it be thy will, I need to know. And I addressed it to the lady, if it be your will, show me, am I doing the right thing by inviting Bob here? And immediately the sky lit up. Did it 3 nights in a row. And so I knew then it was going to be a special meeting. And when Bob come, I walked out with him and asked the same thing again. And immediately it started appearing in front of him. So I think it's going to be interesting come soon.
Don't you find it when we hear so many stories and experiences when it comes to interaction with intelligent off-planet species, that we're not ready, when the planet is ready, when you guys have a shift in consciousness, when you guys fix your stuff and you've got things, you've got issues there. But when you get that, and we hear it over and over again, right now, with what is going down with the economy and this worldwide international crisis that we're dealing with, and coronavirus, that everybody on this planet right now has had a real shift and questioning values and and everybody is suddenly nice on the planet, right? Crime rates are down. We're not talking about wars anymore. That we've had this shift. Is this part of it? Is this part of the end game here? And is this what everybody has been talking about for decades now?
100% yes. All of it. It's changed everybody, and it's not going away. This virus can be gone next week, and it's not going to leave our minds. So we've all shifted, changed. And I think you're right, Jimmy. I think this year, maybe Easter or right after, I get some more excellent video. We'll see. But there's a good chance I get something that it's just going to be hard to say. It's not there.
I need to come out to the Bledsoe pad. That's what I need to come out and hang out with Chris and Chris Jr. You brought up Easter so many times tonight, which is it's coming up in a couple of weeks. Do you really anticipate something happening for you? I mean, look, by making this kind of announcement on a show like this, what happens if you wake up Easter Sunday, you look out your front porch, and you've got 500 people out there, right?
I've had that happen. Well, not quite 500, but
you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do about that? I mean, people pitching tents.
Well, maybe it would be meant to be, right? Part of that disclosure thing. I just know every year at Easter, since the lady came in 2012 on Easter, every year something major has showed up. And I mean, really, Easter of last year, 2019, this entity came. But the year before, my wife's oldest sister was always my worst nightmare. She was skeptical. She cut me off. You don't bring it up around the family. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. That's what she would say. My sister-in-law. Well, 2018, we go up to Dairy Queen on Easter Sunday at night with her husband and my wife. And when we come back to the house, it was only a mile away, we were riding in their truck. I was in the front seat with her husband and my wife and her sister in the back. When we drove in the yard, I said, they're here. And I never talk about this in front of these people because they shut me down. I said, they're here. They looked at me and said, why? I said, well, let's walk out to open the truck. When we got out of the truck, it was hovering 150 feet above us, straight above our truck. And it was the size of an ice cream truck. And it was just sitting there, golden orange orb, big as a small truck, box truck. And then it drifted out to the mailbox about 100 yards away. And then the light went out. And there it sat. You could see a black, round, egg-shaped silhouette in the night sky. And then it shot off with no light at all. It shot off. We all saw it. Well, this person that was my worst skeptic.
Your sister-in-law.
Yeah, changed her whole life and her husband. He looked at me and said, how in the world did you know it was above the truck? I said, they're angels, Alan. And I can feel them. And that's exactly what I knew it. I showed that to John Alexander the same way. When they get very close, I can feel them, the energy they put out.
There's nothing like the feeling of shutting down your sister-in-law.
Yeah, I did in a big way. I didn't. I just looked up to the sky and I had the lady in my thoughts and I said, thank you for that. That was the best Easter present I could ever have.
Yeah, can I say this? I'm going to blow your mind. You know what we don't have out here in Southern California? You're going to trip. Dairy Queen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Man, I miss Dairy Queen so much. It was I just miss it. We don't have Dairy Queen in Southern California. We don't have a lot of stuff in Southern California. You know what we don't have in Southern California? You can't find it anywhere. You're gonna die. It doesn't even make sense to the rest of the country. We don't have biscuits and gravy.
Wow.
Right.
Or grits.
No grits. There ain't no grits in California. But there's no biscuits and gravy in Southern California. I mean, does that even make sense to you?
No, it don't.
You need to talk. You need to talk to the lady. She needs to get us straightened out. We need biscuits and gravy and Dairy Queen, and I'd be happy.
Every time I go out, they give me a piece of toast with avocado spread on it. You know, I'm used to grits and eggs, right?
Right.
Avocado spread. I got broken.
Oh man! A couple of weeks ago, Rita and I, before we say goodnight, Chris, and thank you for opening up and answering all these very difficult questions. But a couple of weeks ago, Rita and I went to Las Vegas. And we went out to dinner with Joshua P. Warren and the crew, you know, and so we go out to dinner, Laura Cantu. It was great. And I could have had lobster, I could have had steak, I could have filet, I could have whatever I wanted on this menu. You know what I got? Biscuits and gravy.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I'm serious. I'm looking at Joshua's eating crab legs, right? Everybody is just chowing down. I got biscuits and gravy with a side of scrambled eggs, man, and I was never more happy. Listen, Chris, thank you so much, man, for taking the time, the questions, and this is what you got to enjoy tonight. When I do the show like this for 2.5, 3 hours, and I go to open lines or I do an Ask Me Anything, and you get these varied questions back to back to back to back to back, it's exhausting. You have to think and get it out. It's not on one wavelength or one subject. It jumps all over the place, and it takes a lot of energy. And you went through it tonight, went pole to pole. Thank you so much, and I want you to be safe out there. Take care of the family. You're important to us. Take care of yourself, and be safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jimmy. And you'll surely have to come out this way sometime this year.
Will I get biscuits and gravy and Dairy Queen?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's a mile from my house.
Chris Bledsoe. Thank you so much, Chris. Again, be safe.
All right, Jim. Thank you.
Right on. Chris Bledsoe. And now you can follow Chris over on Facebook. His links are right there at jimmychurchradio.com. You can go follow Chris on Facebook, and you can also reach out right there. And with that, this wraps another amazing week here on Fade to Black. Now, we're going to go through more crazy news over the weekend, and I want everybody to do what is right. Stay at home, kick back, relax, watch Netflix, write that book that you've always wanted to write, spend some time with your family, cook some food, open up a cookbook, cook something you've never cooked before, hang out with the family, and do the right thing. This country, this world right now is going through a lot. We all are. We're all stressed, okay? But together, we will get through all of it. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I want to thank everybody that called in tonight, all of the email, all of the questions. It was an absolute amazing show. And, of course, thank you to Mr. Chris Bledsoe, Sr. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camarion. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2020 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want everybody to have a great, safe, and an amazing weekend. Until Monday, go Beckley Tepe.